This episode of Super Over is brought to you by DP World. From transporting the soil and grass 1,200 miles to New York for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, through to the Beyond Boundaries initiative to make cricket more accessible. DP World's smart logistics help deliver the game at all levels. Smart logistics, beyond boundaries. Welcome to another episode of Super Over. Jarrod Kimber here with Jeremy Coney. We're recording this moments after, Mohammad Siraj didn't kick the ball away, Jeremy. And if there's anything that India can do in the next test match, I would say that they should start kicking. Maybe they should all be practicing just kicking balls as far as possible.
Well, yes, if they're going to get it so that it's going to spin back towards their stumps.
Oh, you just don't want them kicking the ball in general? No. Okay. They have to keep their heads up because they were in this game. They had plenty of chances to win it. They're 2-1 down. These teams are so, I was going to say evenly matched. They're not even evenly matched. They're almost unevenly matched at times. India is still well in this series, and it's hard when you go down away from home twice in the one series, but they should really be thinking that they can do this still.
Yeah, I certainly think they should be able to. They'll obviously have a little chat about things they might have done better here at Lord's. And they've already done that, presumably, at Headingley and Edgbaston. Well, Edgbaston they won anyway, and pretty comfortably, didn't they? So not quite the need for it there. But the first thing I think that stands out for me, being at this test in Headingley, is the catching. I think in the first innings, they are putting catches down, particularly in the cordon, it seems to me, gully through, not so much at first slip, but through that area. And you must do that when you have players like Bumrah and that available to play only a certain number of games. You've got to nail it as far as I can see. So where are you most likely to get the opposition batsman out? Right in the cordon, I would say, with someone like Bumrah.
It just doesn't look settled, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I think also when you've got key players like Root at 4, you want to get him and Brook in as soon as possible. And they're getting those chances, but not nailing it. And so I think that as the first thing, they're catching in that area. And I think also just a general thing about their fielding too, tidying up their fielding in the covers, chasing the ball, getting the throwing better, backing up.
Just they missed a lot of run-out chances.
They do. They missed that. They do.
So they weren't fielding as well as they could have. A couple of times they would pick the ball up at a run-out chance, and they would be in the wrong position to throw it, and all sorts of things. They just didn't look as tight as they need to be.
It's a sharpening, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a sharpening on the ground. It's a sharpening in picking the angles that you run so that your stumps, that you've got as many stumps as possible to aim at, and making sure you're balanced when you throw so that you give yourself the best chance and you're catching.
I mean, I think we would both agree they're creating more chances than England. Right? They look like a bowling attack that should be creating 20 chances.
Well, they are.
25 to 26 chances.
Well, they're doing that.
Yeah.
And they're not quite getting there quickly enough. So that will be the disappointing part. The other thing that's obviously emerging is that their batting is getting into positions where they are of potential strength.
Yeah.
Whether it's with Gill, whether it's with Punt, whether it's with Punt and Rahul, in this game. And I felt that they haven't really nailed those chances either.
Yep.
So when they do get in a position of strength with the bat, get it with the bat and make sure it happens and push the lead up and then bring your bowlers into play.
But that's at Edgbaston, that's how they won the game, right? They made so many runs that it changed the game, and they have to get themselves into that mindset because I don't think England can go pound for pound and make as many runs as India. They just don't have that kind of a batting lineup. They don't have the kind of depth or the overall talent. So that is something that India can do that I don't think England can go to, but they have to be able to do it regularly in this series, and they had a chance of making a lot of runs here.
The other thing I would say as just a general comment would be about the determination. When you get in a battle with England just seemed to be a little stronger, and I don't know quite what the word is, but that will, let's call it a will and an instinct to really drive on and
Slightly
get the
older,
best.
maybe?
Maybe it's the Stokes
Yeah.
factor.
Yep.
Whether it's the McCullum, I don't know who's that. That's all behind the scenes for me. But you do notice there are moments in the game when England are driving on, and at that time, India aren't quite matching it in terms of the skill level that they actually have. And they're just going into their shells a bit. I don't want to say diffident.
No. I think what it is when you're playing England, you have to accept they're going to be wild swings and they are going to swing back into games, right?
Yeah.
And I think at the moment, when we've seen that a couple of times, even in the match they won at Edgbaston, sometimes India are like, oh no, what do we do? And it's like, no, it's fine. This is what England do. They swing back. The only way to beat them, as we saw in the last test, is to kill them dead by scoring so many runs that it doesn't matter, right? And at the moment, they're not quite doing. You have to accept that Jamie Smith or Harry Brook or or Zach Crawley or Ben Duckett, one of them is going to go wild, right? And that Cast is going to get into one great spell. And I think India, maybe just their slight lack of experience at the top level for some of their players has meant that they're panicking about that. I think they're the better side. They're 2-1 down, and I do still think, having watched this, they're the better team right at the moment.
Well, they've got themselves in more positions to win than England have, and have lost it. And so they are, in other words, making more mistakes. They're getting to a position, potentially, making mistakes, and then they're allowing England back into the game.
Yeah.
And then that will comes into play, and then they get a wee bit sort of, look at the 4 wickets they lost at the end of day.
Exactly.
That kind of session where you suddenly lose all the impetus that you have in the game.
No, exactly. And the last thing I think they need to do is, I don't think they have a choice. I think Jasper Bumrah has to play in the next test. You're 2-1 down now. There's no point saving him for a dead rubber at the Oval.
No.
He has to play in the next test to give them a chance. And we both think they're good enough. We both think they're creating chances. We both really like their batting. For them to win this next test match, I just think you just have to play Bumrah. I know he's played in the 2-1s they've lost, but that was just dumb luck. He's their best player.
Yeah, well, he created chances here, didn't he? Smith was dropped early on and got runs and those kinds of things, and that was from Bumrah's bowling. So
he was unplayable at times.
Yeah, he was.
So you agree with me? He has to play in the next?
Yeah, I think he has to. There's no point in, there'll probably be a result in the next test. So it's got to go India's way, doesn't it? It has to.
It has to. You heard Jeremy Coney here. It has to. We'll see you again on the Super Over very soon.